From the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is live coverage of the 50th anniversary edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by ExxonMobil. It's Balloon Fiesta Live. And now, direct from the rooftop studio at Balloon Fiesta Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here are your hosts, Glen Moyer and Lloyd Jr.
Good morning, live from Coronado Center this morning, the birthplace of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta 50 years ago. I'm Lloyd Jr., and this is day 0 of Balloon Fiesta because it doesn't actually start until tomorrow. But traditionally, on the Friday before Balloon Fiesta, we hold Albuquerque Aloft, where we set up balloons at elementary schools all around the metro area and give our schools and our parents and teachers a treat with a preview of Balloon Fiesta. But 50 years ago, on April 8, 1972, 13 balloons gathered in this parking lot at Coronado Center, which became the very first Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. So today, on Albuquerque Aloft Day, before we officially start the 50th, we are inflating 13 balloons here at Coronado Center as a tribute to those original 13 who made it to Albuquerque and got us started on this journey. We have a number of special balloons here this morning, ones you have not seen before. Each one of the balloons that is here this morning is representing one of those additional 13, the original 13. They have special basket banners on them, and we're going to try and point out every one of those to you, tell you who's flying what balloon today, and what pilot is being represented by that balloon this morning. So we have right behind me the New Mexico True balloon standing up. We have the Orange Crush balloon. We've got, as I said, some really new balloons here as well that we're going to be pointing out once they get stood up. You know, in April of 1972, the game plan was to hold some balloons, bring some balloons to town so that we could celebrate radio station KOB's 50th birthday. And the idea there behind that was, we'll bring out a few balloons. And Sid Cutter and Tom Rutherford from KOB and Dick McKee got together. Yeah, we can bring out a few balloons. Hey, I wonder what the record is. Well, the record of most balloons at any one point at the time was 19. So Sid got together with some of his friends and decided to try and get 21 balloons here. He actually did get a commitment to bring 21 balloons to Albuquerque. However, remember, this is in April. Some transportation issues and some snowstorms prevented some balloons from actually getting here. So that's why we ended up with 13 balloons here. And they decided that they would go ahead and fly out of here in what they called was a Roadrunner Coyote balloon race. So Sid and his co-pilot Don Draper took off from the field and went north, coincidentally, and then the other balloons, the Coyotes, actually the Coyotes followed him. And so what had traditionally or early days been called the Hare and Hound race, here in the Southwest, here in Albuquerque, became the Roadrunner Coyote race. And so Sid would fly the Roadrunner, partly because he was flying a club balloon. He had also, in addition to bringing balloons together for this, started the local balloon club, Quad A, or the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association. And there were a bunch of them that owned this one balloon, and they called it Roadrunner. So that helped get us to the Roadrunner Coyote setup, and that's what we still call those types of races here in the Southwest, Roadrunner and Coyote. That also is how the Roadrunner and Coyote cartoon characters started showing up. They were on posters given to the original 13 pilots, and actually we are reliving that by bringing back the Roadrunner and Coyote as well as all of their Looney Tune friends. They are on the official poster this year. They actually have been building up to that. That's a whole 5-part series. A number of our participants have some special shirts, a great partnership with the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity. Chuck Jones was one of the original directors, producers, and animators of the Looney Tunes characters for Warner Brothers back in the 60s and the 70s. So I can see a little bit behind us that some of the other balloons are starting to set up. While I wait for them to actually stand up, let me just tell you a little bit about Balloon Fiesta Live and what our game plan is for that. We will be live at 6 a.m. Mountain Time for all 9 morning sessions. We will be live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time for the 5 evening sessions, and we will be broadcasting live over YouTube and Facebook, and you can get all of that right on Balloon Fiesta Live. So my partner Glen Moyer will join me on the roof. We will have 5 or 6 cameras. We'll have a balloon camera. It is just going to be an epic series of time. There are special events happening at Balloon Fiesta on this 50th. We will bring you every part of that we possibly can, and we hope that you will stick with us throughout the entire 10 days, counting today, of Balloon Fiesta, the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, this year powered by ExxonMobil. So I think if we get the shot over my shoulder, you might be able to see the Fiesta 50 balloon. If you've been a fan of Balloon Fiesta Live and were watching us last year, you know that that balloon was actually built on the field during Balloon Fiesta last year. And it has been flown around the country advertising the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. So today, that balloon behind me, as you see, it's the yellow one back over my shoulder. That is our Fiesta Gold balloon, piloted this morning for us by Judy Nakamura, who happens to be the vice president of the board of directors. She is also a former state Supreme Court Chief Justice here in the state of New Mexico. So over one side, New Mexico True being flown by Bill Lee for us. And behind me, we also see Dark Piece standing up. That would be Gary Moore. That's the black one with the kind of neon colors going around the center. I see a replica of the Montgolfier balloon starting to pop up in there as well. So we're about to stand balloons up here at pilot briefing. Let me back up just a second. In April, the 13 balloons in that Roadrunner Coyote event actually flew to the north out of here and ended up, if you're familiar with the Albuquerque area, we flew to the north and landed just north of Montgomery. The winds today are out of the south and will take us back north as well. So we are actually going to be able to follow that trajectory. Even though it wasn't September at that first one, it was April. We are up and away. And we just had a shot on the camera of a brand new World balloon. That balloon is making its maiden flight right now. Sam Parks, our director of operations, and Jewel Cutter, the widow of our founder Sid Cutter, put that balloon together, and they call it Beautiful World. The idea behind this balloon is to remind everybody that ballooning and Balloon Fiesta bring everyone together to create a beautiful world. So that is the maiden flight. It has the World Balloon. When Sid started a company, he called it the World Balloon Championships. Later, the World Balloon Company, Corporation. He provided rides and corporate and basically made ballooning what it is here in Albuquerque and flew the World balloons as well. The other balloon that Sid used to fly started in '73, based on the Roadrunner theme, is the Roadrunner Coyote balloon. Barbara Fricke and Peter Cuneo have put together their own replica of the Roadrunner Coyote balloon. So on this side, you see the Roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote is on the other side. So there are a few differences between this one and the original. This one's a little bit smaller, but it's basically as true as possible to the original balloon. So I told you Sam Parks in the Beautiful World balloon is representing Sid Cutter, of course, our founder. And the Roadrunner Coyote balloon, being flown by Barbara Fricke, is representing Wilma Picard. Wilma Picard, the wife of Don Picard, came in second in that Roadrunner Coyote race. In fact, her husband, Don Picard, came in first in that race. And there's a great story about Matt Whitaker, one of the other 13s, one of the first to get to the Roadrunner balloon. The way the race works is the Roadrunner balloon goes off, flies for about 10, 15, 30 minutes, some period of time, lands, and then all the other balloons, the Coyotes, attempt to land as close as possible to the Roadrunner balloon. So Sid was the Roadrunner, Sid being represented by the Roadrunner in the Beautiful World balloon this morning, and the Coyotes, the rest of these balloons, will be chasing them. Fittingly enough, the winds this morning are taking them to the north, and there is a very good chance these balloons will end up back at Balloon Fiesta Park this morning. The directions are such, there's some navigation, some steerage available up there in different winds going different directions, and so we'll be able to, and hopefully they'll be able to get up to that location as well. So now that we have a couple more of our balloons stood up, let's get a little closer to what's happening down here. So we're kind of coming up on we're at the New Mexico True Balloon on this side, the Orange Crush Balloon over here on this side. Bill Lee flying the New Mexico True Balloon, and Bill is representing Bill Murtaugh, who originally flew the balloon Smile. And so the basket banner is on the other side. But Bill Murtaugh, a very colorful figure all along balloons, and came to Balloon Fiesta for many, many years. Throughout the years, he sadly is not with us. In fact, there are only 4 of the original 13 pilots that are still living. 3 of them are actually with us today. The others have their family members here as well. If we can take a look at the Orange Crush balloon next to me here. David Bristol is flying Orange Crush for us, representing Carl Stefan, who originally flew the Star of Texas balloon. And if we can get a shot of the basket banner here, can we just step you just a little bit to the side? So, no. So we made these basket banners. So as you can see, Carl Stefan, there was his balloon, Star of Texas, one of the original 13 pilots. And again, David Bristol providing the tribute today in his Orange Crush balloon. So if you've just joined us, if you've just found us, this is Balloon Fiesta Live, and I'm Art Lloyd Jr. We are live today at Coronado Center, day 0 of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, because it is Albuquerque Aloft Day and Tribute Flight Day here at Coronado Center. We have set up 13 balloons here at Coronado Center, each one providing tribute and recognizing the original 13 balloons. And we are honoring them. We had a ceremony inside Coronado Mall this morning for people who have been involved for a long time, those families that we mentioned as well. So great ceremonies here at Coronado Center this morning. We're going to kind of wander through the field here, see if we can get a little closer. We're going to send off the first of the Coyotes, and we'll be starting to send these balloons off, and they'll be chasing Beautiful World. So they're going to send off Orange Crush and then New Mexico True behind that. Get down here and see some of the others. Let's get over here by the Roadrunner and Coyote balloon. So we're here at the basket of the Roadrunner Coyote balloon. Here's another one of those basket banners representing Wilma Picard and her balloon Gypsy. And they've actually done a little extra with the Roadrunner and Coyote balloon here, in that we have an Acme safe they've put along with this as well, that they'll be hanging below the balloon. Again, this is a replica or a rebuild of one of the balloons that Sid flew in 1973 and 1974. 1973 being the first World Hot Air Balloon Championships held here in Albuquerque. It's actually on the cover of the programs from 1973 and from 1974 as well. Looks like Barbara's going to go up and we'll be able to see the safe hanging below. Barbara and Peter, Barbara actually sewed this balloon. Peter kind of did some of the engineering design on this. And they've actually put the very large N numbers or registration numbers on this balloon as well. Oh, look at there. There's the firework rocket that the Wile E. Coyote used to have as well. Because this is a home-built balloon, it is classified as an experimental balloon. So this is not the first flight of this balloon. This balloon needed 10 hours of flight time before it could carry any passengers and be officially certified for flight. I was lucky enough to be working with Barbara and Peter on this and had the opportunity to actually fly the last 45 minutes getting to that 10 hours of this balloon. It flies like a dream. New Mexico True, Bill Lee is now in the air. And across the street from us, Jeff Duff has stood up the Krispy Kreme balloon. Jeff is representing Don Picard and his original Spirit of 76 balloon. Don Picard was actually the winner of the very first race here. He landed his balloon 184 feet next to where Sid laid down the Roadrunner balloon. And I mentioned Wilma Picard, represented by Barbara Fricke here. She ended up second, landing just 206 feet, so only about 20 feet farther away. So lots of attention at this new balloon, as well as the Beautiful World balloon that has taken off and is headed north towards Fiesta Field. From the other end, I see the Spirit of Fiesta balloon, the yellow one with the Fiesta logo on it. That one is being flown by Ray Bear for us. Ray Bear is representing Gene Dennis, whose balloon didn't have a name at the time. And then following right behind is the Fiesta Gold balloon. We mentioned that one being flown by Judy Nakamura. Judy representing Carter Tweet, one of the other still surviving original 13 pilots. So the Beautiful World balloon is in the air. The two Fiesta balloons are heading north to the park. Orange Crush is up. There goes the Krispy Kreme balloon with Jeff Duff at the helm. I see another one set up over this way, guys, too. There is the KKOB balloon. Remember that this all started because KOB was about to turn 50 years old. And so the radio station knew that Sid was flying balloons and said, hey, can you bring some balloons out for our birthday party? And that's what started this, a conversation. Yeah, we can bring some balloons out. Hey, what would it take to have the largest gathering? It would take 21. We had commitments from 21 to be here. Unfortunately, weather got in the way, and only 13 balloons actually made it here, although some of the pilots made it and their balloons actually didn't. But it was KOB's 50th birthday, and we have had a 50-year partnership with KOB ever since. Ron Curry is flying the KOB balloon, and he is representing Don Kirsten, who flew the balloon originally, Merope, which was named after Don's wife. Straight overhead, I don't think we have a picture of him, is Gary Moore in the Dark Side 2020 balloon. We pointed it out earlier. It was the black one with some neons behind it. He is representing Dennis Floden, another one of the surviving original 13 pilots. Denny Floden flew a balloon called Captain Fog. I'm hearing bells. I'm not sure what that one is. So we have a replica of the Montgolfier balloon here. Larry Nicolay is flying that one for us. He is paying tribute to Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker and his entire family is here. His wife is still here. His daughters are here. One of his daughters that is here actually flew in the balloon with Matt on that first day back in April 50 years ago. The balloon they were flying is called Flying Raven 1. Matt's wife tells us that they actually landed the closest to Sid in the Roadrunner Coyote race. And the crew started celebrating. We won, we won, we won. The Picards, meanwhile, were still up in the air and managed to catch a different wind pattern up there and then managed to sneak in and get closer than Matt was. So Matt was in the lead, was convinced he had won the race, only to have Don and Wilma Picard both slide in and get closer than Matt was and snatch the victory out of Matt's hands. They still tell that story. They tell it fondly. Again, being represented by the Montgolfier balloon here. The Montgolfier, of course, is what the original very first balloon was made back in 1783. A couple of paper makers by the name of Montgolfier, Joseph and Etne, created a paper bag because they saw smoke lift things up, and they thought that if they filled a bag full of smoke, it would go airborne. So that's what they did. They built a big bag, they put smoke underneath it, and sure enough, up it went. Then they built a basket, and they put some animals in it, a rooster, a duck, and a sheep, because they weren't real sure what was going on up there. Remember, this is 1783, and the idea behind this is no one had flown, only birds flew, which is kind of the reason for the duck and the rooster. The reason the sheep was in there is because it more closely represented humans, so it was kind of a test. So that went up, and that worked. So they built a bigger bag, paper bag, put more smoke in it, and decided to fly a couple of people. And the idea is the paper was decorated in the shape of this Montgolfier. And so the first people to fly, Pilatre de Rosière and Marquis de Alandres, were the first people to fly over in France. And actually the word pilot comes from Pilatre. And again, it was the Montgolfier balloon that got things started back in 1783. Gas balloons, and we have an America's Challenge race, the 25th, coming up starting tomorrow night from the field. Gas balloons were very shortly behind that process. Modern hot air balloons came along in the 1960s when a guy named Ed Yost, working for the Navy, figured out how to put a propane burner attached to a propane tank and create the heat necessary to provide the lift. Because in 1783, while they thought it was smoke that took everybody up, by the 1900s, we knew it was the heat that caused the lift and not the smoke as well. So it looks like if we just kind of turn around here, we'll be able to see the Roadrunner and Coyote balloon go airborne this morning as they play the role of the Coyote today, not the Roadrunner. So they will be chasing Beautiful World. Barbara Fricke and Peter Cuneo at the helm. Permission to use the Roadrunner and Coyote granted by the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity and, of course, Warner Brothers. Banners marking that on the side of the balloon as well. And I see KOB has gotten in the air as well. What a great sight to see all these balloons launching from Coronado Center here. What a great group of people we have out here, and they're all headed back to the field. There you go, the shot of looking north from Coronado Center at our balloons, at our tribute flight here at Coronado Center, as we pay tribute to the original 13 balloons that got all of this started 50 years ago this year. So behind me is this teal balloon. That is the Realty One of New Mexico balloon. That is being flown by Jaybird Mason, and he is paying tribute today to Bill Cutter, Sid Cutter's brother. Bill was part of the entire team, and Bill flew Betsy Ross back in April. Betsy Ross was the first modern balloon to come to Albuquerque. All of Sid's involvement in getting into ballooning started when his company, Cutter Aviation, was going to have a party for his mom and for their customers. And they were basically fixed-wing operators. So they were going to have this big party in the Sid Cutter, in the Cutter Aviation hangar. And they were going to do a World War I theme. And so the idea was, hey, well, there were balloons around, smoke balloons back in World War I. And so let's get a balloon. So Sid went looking for a balloon and basically managed to find one just in time to go literally fly an airplane, pick it up, and bring it here. And they inflated it in the hangar for that party. It almost didn't fit, and if you see the pictures, the envelope goes all the way from floor to ceiling within that hangar. So the story is, the next day, Bill Cutter, Sid's brother, comes knocking on the door at Sid's house. "What are you doing here so early?" Sid tells the story. He says, Bill says, "Let's go fly the balloon." "We don't know how to fly the balloon. We'll figure it out." So they went out, they inflated it, they stood it up, and depending on which time you hear the story or who says what when, the idea is somebody let go of the rope that it was holding it down, and up they went. So Sid and Bill basically learned to fly that balloon on that very first flight the day after the birthday party in June of 1971. So that's how Sid got ballooning going here. And then from June of 71 to April of 72, started the Quad A Balloon Club, and then in April, everything got started with KOB here at Coronado Center as well. So that's kind of the story here. Again, Jay Mason representing Bill Cutter with our balloon Realty One, and the original balloon was the Betsy Ross balloon, the very first one that was here. Getting one more airborne. This is our Coronado sponsored balloon. Brett Stockwell was the original pilot. Brett flew a balloon called Firebird. Brett and his Firebird balloon being represented today by Toby Brown and the balloon Crystal Blue. And what a great day to fly. When you leave the parking lot here at Coronado Center, you go up about 100 feet and you drift very slowly to the south, and then at about 150 feet you turn around and head back north, so that we have sent our 13 balloons. We've got one more to go, and we'll be sending, they're all headed back towards Balloon Fiesta Park. So what a great morning we are having out here at Balloon Fiesta at Coronado Park, as we do a tribute flight to the original 13 balloons that started all of this back in 1972. And little did we know, although someone wrote in the original program, that this could be the start of something big and wonderful. And of course, what happened after the idea of this first time in April of 72, Tom Rutherford at KOB and Sid we're approached by the BFA folks, the folks that are the Balloon Federation folks, who were about to put on the first World's Hot Air Balloon Championships. And they were looking for a place to host it. So they came to Sid and Tom and they said, hey, you know, this would be a really great place. Why don't you host the event? And they built it up big time. There goes Jayburn. They built it up big time, and so Sid and Tommy put this big proposal together, thinking that they were bidding against other big cities. Turns out in the end there was no other city in consideration. It was just Albuquerque. They kept telling Sid so that Sid would put extra work into it, and we held the very first World Hot Air Balloon Championships at the New Mexico State Fairgrounds here in Albuquerque in February of 1973. Well, by now, Albuquerque is hooked, so they held another balloon rally at the fairgrounds again in 1974. By this time, we're up to more than 100 balloons flying here. And then it was like, okay, this is really great. Why don't you do the second World Hot Air Balloon Championship in 1975? And so they decided that February may not be the best time of year to fly. In 73, they flew in snowstorms. So they decided to move 1975's event to October, which is where it's been ever since. Now, that meant we were going to go from February of 74 to October of 75, about 18 months without a balloon event. So they got together with the local balloon club and they said, hey, that's kind of a long time. Why don't you guys put together a little balloon rally somewhere in the middle to kind of bridge that gap of 18 months? So the local balloon club, Quad A, the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association, put together a balloon rally in February of 1975. Not really Balloon Fiesta, but that is the year many people say, oh, there were 2 Balloon Fiestas that year. We don't actually count it as that. What that February rally has turned into is now the annual Friends and Lovers Rally, still put on every February by the local balloon club. In 1975, we moved away from the fairgrounds, and we moved up to a field called Sims Field, which is now under development. We've moved from Sims Field farther north to Cutter Field. From Cutter Field, we moved up to the first Balloon Fiesta Park, just south of Alameda and north of Paseo. And then about 20-plus years ago, we moved across the street from Alameda into our current Balloon Fiesta Park, a more permanent home and a park built for Balloon Fiesta. It is a park all year long. That's where we will be for the next 9 mornings. We will be doing Balloon Fiesta Live every one of those mornings. We'll be starting at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, and that is I think that's 00 Zulu time, if I remember right. And so the idea is we'll be live. My partner, Glen Moyer, will join me on the roof. We'll have live footage of the entire event. We've got some special things. We've got flyovers. We've got mass ascensions. We've got competition during the competition days. I will be down with one of our live cameras down in the competition zone, so you'll be able to see from right up close and personal what it's like to have balloons come in and drop markers and rings on targets and poles. And it's just going to be a fabulous time. We'll also have all be live with our glows and all of the activities. We've got Fast Track Skydive team returning again. They will jump at 5 o'clock, bring in the flag. They will do our balloon glow around 6:30. Fast Tracks comes back in at 7:30 with their pyrotechnics jump. A very special that I can't tell you about, except that it's going to happen show is going to happen at 7:45 at night, and then our fireworks will start at 8 o'clock. That very special top secret show, by the way, also takes place at 5:45 on weekend mornings at Balloon Fiesta Park. So we are in for a very full, fun-packed time over the next 9 days here in Albuquerque for the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. We hope that you will come out and join us on the field, partake of all the breakfast burritos, take care of all the great time, and experience the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. By the way, if you're shopping for souvenirs and merchandise, you're going to want to get that early. Pre-sales and online sales of that stuff has been through the roof. Advanced ticket sales have been very strong. If you are headed out to Balloon Fiesta Park at any time this week, do leave your house early. Plan to be on the field early. Gates open at 4:30 in the morning, 3:30, I believe, in the afternoons. You're going to want to be out here early. Plan to spend the day. Plan to spend the time. Dress in layers because you're going to be in the dark at some point. We started in the dark out here this morning. The sun is coming up. We'll be taking off the jacket. In evenings, it's reverse. You're going to be carrying that jacket. You're going to say, why am I carrying that? Once the sun goes down and the glow gets started and the fireworks are happening, you're going to want to put that jacket on as well. So it's going to be a great time at Balloon Fiesta. Park and ride still available. If you partake of that, be sure and buy your tickets in advance online. And we don't always talk about this, but we have a free bike valet as well. The bike trails in Albuquerque connect right by the museum, which is on the south end of the park, and that is where our bike valet is. So you can ride your bike and we'll park it for you for free. Then you pick it up and you have the ability to ride back home from there. It's a great way to enjoy Balloon Fiesta. Do come out early. The weather looks great for the entire week. And again, even if you do get out to the park, you can always go back and watch us live, watch us recorded on Balloon Fiesta Live. Shortly after our shows are done being live, there will be a link to the recorded show. So come out and see us, say hi to us, and then go back home, watch it back online, and you'll be able to see what you missed by coming out to Balloon Fiesta. So we are about to wrap things up here at Coronado Center. Of course, 13 balloons took off from Coronado Center here. About 190 other hot air balloons are spread out all around the city of Albuquerque at elementary schools. What we call Albuquerque Aloft. Some of those balloons will fly. Some will do a static display at the schools. But balloonists are in town. A whole lot more are expected. About 650 balloons expected at Balloon Fiesta this year. About 120 of those are special shapes. We showed you two new regular shape balloons here today. Beautiful World, the replica of the World balloons that Sid Cutter flew for many, many years, and the Roadrunner Coyote balloon, which was one of Sid's balloons in the early 1970s. Basically 73, 74, 75 time frame. There are about 20 new special shapes coming. We'll feature those on Thursday and Friday, both morning for a rodeo and the evening for a glodio as well. In fact, probably a good time to just kind of run through the entire schedule so that you know what's coming up. Tomorrow morning, we start with that very special show at 5:45. We'll be live at 6 with the Dawn Patrol show, our Krispy Kreme glow, and then our Mass Ascension. With some opening ceremony things happening, we'll have a flyover by the Chili Express as well, and then our Mass Ascension. Tomorrow afternoon, we will, if the weather continues to hold, we'll be inflating gas balloons for the 25th America's Challenge gas balloon event. If you've never seen the gas balloons launch, that's a great time to come out. It is a totally different process. It's a longer process to do it because you inflate it with gas. And then the launch process, very pomp and circumstance full. They all launch from exactly the same point on the field because this is a distance race. Whoever flies the furthest wins. They will fly for 3 or 4 days, many times ending up in the very northeast part of the United States. Once the America's Challenge launches around 6 o'clock, it'll be time for our balloon glow. We call it the Twilight Twinkle on that first Saturday night. And we'll do that. Fast Tracks will jump in. We'll have that aerial show, and then we'll have our fireworks. That brings us to day 2, which is Sunday morning. Another aerial show for you, another Dawn Patrol show, Krispy Kreme. Opening ceremonies are Mass Ascension Sunday morning. Sunday night is the original balloon glow with the fast track jump, the aerial show, and of course ending the evening with fireworks. Monday starts our competition. About half the balloons will launch from the field and fly away on a normal, just like it was a Mass Ascension. The other half of the balloons will go somewhere else and attempt to fly their balloons back into the field, just like our 13 who have left here today are going to try and get back to the field. There will be targets set up on the field on Monday, and they will attempt to get as close as they can to those targets. Nothing happening Monday night. Tuesday morning is a repeat of Monday. Again, half the balloons leave from the field. The other half attempt to fly into the field. Wednesday morning, it's back to a Mass Ascension with the Dawn Patrol show and our Flight of the Nations, as we represent more than 20 countries who will be here for Balloon Fiesta. And we're going to be representing them on Wednesday morning. Starting Thursday, we're back to 2 a day. Thursday morning, it's our Special Shapes Rodeo. We'll stand up all 120 special shapes. Our regular shape balloons, some will fly off the field and fly away just for fun. Again, half of them or so will attempt to fly back into the field. Thursday night, we feature the special shapes in a Special Shapes Glowdio with the fireworks, with Fast Track's camera. Friday morning is a repeat of Thursday. We have our Special Shapes Glowdio or Rodeo in the morning with competition, and then that night we will have another Glowdio as well as fireworks and all of those things. Saturday, back to a Dawn Patrol show, the aerial show. We'll have some more fun flyover types of things. We will do a Mass Ascension Saturday morning. There is going to be, for the pilots and crew, an awards brunch when we're going to award some big money to those pilots who were successful in the competition throughout the week. And then Saturday night, we're going to have our final balloon glow, our night magic glow Saturday night. With that will be the balloon glow with, of course, fireworks and all of those types of things. And then 9 days later, on October 9th, we will wrap things up with a farewell Mass Ascension Sunday morning, Dawn Patrol show, the aerial show, all of those things that we do in the morning, and we will wrap up with a farewell Ascension. And then, unfortunately, say goodbye until number 51, which will start October 7th, 2023. Well, I think that basically does it from here at Coronado Center. We did a tribute flight. We've got 13 balloons in the air, 13 of our modern pilots paying tribute to the original 13 balloons that took off from this Coronado Center back in April of 1972. The very first gathering that got us started on this 50-year journey through balloons and Balloon Fiesta and got us to where we are today. So, from Coronado Center, this has been a special edition of Balloon Fiesta Live. I'm Lloyd Jr. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all week live and on the field for Balloon Fiesta Live at the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by ExxonMobil. Have a great day.
This has been a special edition of Balloon Fiesta Live. Be sure to join us October 1st through the 9th, 2022 for the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by ExxonMobil.